For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. The United Nations Human Rights Chief is calling on world leaders to act as Israeli forces have a siege of northern Gaza nearly entering week 4. Volker Turk warned atrocity crimes are unfolding there.
One of the darkest moments of the Gaza conflict is unfolding in the north of the Strip. As we speak, the Israeli military is subjecting an entire population to bombing, siege and starvation, as well as being forced to choose between mass displacement and being trapped in an active conflict zone. The bombing in North Gaza is non-stop. Next to no aid has reached the area in weeks, with unlawful restrictions remaining, and many are now facing starvation. We are facing what could amount to atrocity crimes, including potentially extending to crimes against humanity.
He said families are being separated, detained. Those who can flee report getting shot at, and he decried the limited access to the north. In northern Gaza, Israeli forces have stormed the Kamal Adwan hospital, dragged patients out of bed, and caused extensive damage to its intensive care unit, according to reports by Al Jazeera. Israeli forces have killed at least 820 Palestinians in the north as its siege continues. Turk had this message for world leaders.
I remind you of your responsibility to ensure respect for international humanitarian law as set out in the Geneva Conventions. I implore you to put the protection of civilians and human rights first and not to abandon that minimum of humanity.
He also criticized Palestinian militants for using, as Israel calls it, civilians as human shields. Elsewhere in Gaza, an Israeli attack overnight on the city of Khan Yunis left 38 Palestinians dead, including nearly a dozen children. Jordan's Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi today accused Israel of engaging in ethnic cleansing in Gaza. He made the statements during a visit with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in London. The Biden administration has said Israel needs to do more to protect civilians in Gaza. In Lebanon, an Israeli airstrike hit guest houses where journalists were staying in the southeast, killing 3 media workers from 2 different news agencies. Lebanon's information minister is calling the strike a war crime. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is claiming North Korean troops are poised to be deployed by Russia on the battlefield in Ukraine as early as this weekend, heading for the Kursk region. A senior Ukrainian official in the presidential office told the Associated Press today Zelensky had canceled a planned visit to Kiev by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump campaigned in Texas today. Harris with a focus on abortion in Houston, in a state that's nearly banned all abortions since the Supreme Court overturned abortion rights. Trump will campaign on immigration. Last night in the border state of Arizona, he railed against undocumented immigrants, calling the U.S. a garbage can.
A lot of people coming out of the Congo, not just South America, they're coming from 181 countries as of yesterday. Right, and we're a dumping ground. We're like a garbage can for the world. That's what's happened. That's what's happened to. We're like a garbage can.
Harris and the Biden administration have noted the number of undocumented immigrants entering the U.S. is down. She campaigned in Georgia with former President Barack Obama, who drew a stark contrast between the two candidates.
We do not need 4 years of a wannabe king, a wannabe dictator running around trying to punish his enemies. That's not what you need in your life. America's ready to turn the page. We are ready for a better story. Georgia, we're ready for a President Kamala Harris. She's going to go after corporations that unfairly jack up prices. She's going to make it easier to build and buy a home. She's going to limit out-of-pocket health care costs. She's going to give a tax cut to 100 million middle-class families and working Americans.
The world is on a path to pass a threshold climate scientists say is needed to avert catastrophic climate change, according to a new report by the United Nations. The emissions gap report, No More Hot Air Please, warns even under the best-case scenarios with the biggest cuts in fossil fuel burning and shifting to renewables, the planet still won't be near enough to curb warming's worst impacts, from hotter heat waves, wildfires, storms, and droughts. Here's United Nations Secretary Antonio Guterres, who gave a dire warning Thursday.
Record emissions mean record sea temperatures, supercharging monster hurricanes. Record heat is turning forests into tinder boxes and cities into saunas. We're playing with fire, but there can be no more playing for time. We're out of time.
The report comes as NOAA, the U.S. Ocean and Climate Agency, reported that last month was the second hottest September on record, behind 2023, breaking 15 months of consecutive record-breaking planetary heat. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.